Craftiana. Today I'm going to be showing you how I customize this sparkling cider bottle. Now, it's for a champagne party, a prom send-off party. Now, I started off by spray painting this bottle using a white spray paint, the gloss version from Rust-Oleum. Then I have my Crickiana cut out this image. I designed it in Cricut Design Space and I had to cut it out. Now I just measured the space between that first little divot and that bottom divot to see how tall and how wide I wanted it. That's up to you. Everything is personal preference, okay? I'm using printable vinyl, okay? And it's basically like a sticker paper. So then I'm going in with the SS16 rhinestone trim and I just measured the width of this photo to see how long I needed this rhinestone trim. So I'm just basically predetermining the length and width of this using this rhinestone trim. I'm laying it on there before I cut it, and then I cut it when I got the width or length I need. So I put my glue down. I just set that on the glue. I'm making sure I keep that as neat as possible and keeping my line straight as possible. Sometimes my head get up in the frame. I'm sorry, my big old head needs to see what I'm doing, so I'll be having to get up and clap it close and personal. Okay, so I'm closing that gap and making sure everything is nice and neat. Now I'm going to do a double border, so I'm repeating the same process and I'm making sure I leave a little stone hanging on the outside of that first row. I'm taking a stone right past that first row where that first border baseline is. I'm making sure I go right outside that leaves a space for our next row of rhinestone trim. You see how it's like hanging outside on the outside just a little bit because we're lining it up. We want a double impact, like boom, boom, bam. So I'm just repeating that process, Craftiana. Reminder, this is the SS16 trim. You can get this on Amazon. Check my description box, okay? And again, this is Clean the Bling glue. I get it from Bling Up. You can find that on her website, but you can also use E6000. You can use Liquid Fusion. You can use Gem Tack, whatever's convenient to you. So I'm making sure I keep that nice, neat, tight, and right. Again, I'm measuring that out, and before I cut it, making sure I go right on the outside of that first row. You see at that top left corner is hanging out just a little bit. That's what I mean. You want it just a little slightly longer than your previous row because that gives us that extra va-va-voom, honey, va-va-voom, va-va-voom. So I'm making sure I press that second row into that first row nice and tight. You want it as close as possible. I mean, you want it doing a hunch, okay? You want it hunching, Craftiana. You want them doing the XEX, okay? We want grown woman tees around here because we want it nice and tight. And make sure your rows are straight because we don't want no crooked raggedy rows. If it's not right, you can just go back and fix it. Like, don't make it that big of a deal. We all make mistakes. Go back and fix it, Crafty. My camera not focusing, my head in the shot. Like, what's really going on? Okay, so I let that dry and then I flip it over and I put a name decal on here. See, that's just what that looked like, that double border. Just give it a little pop. So I flipped it over. I had my Cricut cut out this decal, and I'm just laying this name right on the back of this decal. Her name is Tasia. His name was Josh. He got a custom bottle too. I'll be showing you how I did that one too. Basically, same process, just a little different style. So I'm laying that down, making sure I be careful because we do not want this transfer tape to pull up any of this paint. Okay, I do recommend sealing your paint with the clear spray after you let those layers dry because I didn't. I usually do, but I didn't. I was in a time crunch and I had 80 other bottles to do, Craftiana, and I'm not joking, literally 80 other bottles. Okay, so we have to do what we do. We laid that down with this silver vinyl that I got from Michaels. It's their foil chrome, whatever, from the, I don't remember the brand name. So now we're going to go in with our neck. This is the same process. I'm putting the glue down and I'm just going to measure how much rhinestone trim I need. I believe I did a slightly smaller trim on this because I was having to use the rest of what I had left, Craftiana. I had bought like so many of these dang on rhinestone trims, and I was not going to the store to buy another one. I was not Amazoning one because I needed these bottles done now. Okay, so I when I tell you I stretched every little piece of rhinestone trim I had left, I was pulling out scraps that I had from I don't even know where, Craftiana. I mean, I was not going back to downtown. Not today. Not today. I promise you I wasn't. I had to figure it out, okay? So I'm just going on this neck, and you could go down as far as you want. You could go down the whole neck. You could just do one, two, or three, whatever. But I am putting other bigger pieces on this neck, so I want to make sure I leave enough room for that. I don't want to take up too much space because I want a big old bold centerpiece down. You could do this with glitter too. You don't have to just do paint. It's whatever look you're going for. So I'm placing that glue down, and I'm making sure with the neck, you want to make sure you pressing this into this glue, because you don't want this to slide and move. You want to let that dry completely, and making sure it did not slide or fall down during the drying process. If you catch it, just push it back up and making sure it's in the right place, because depending on the type of glue you use, it might not be stable and sturdy enough, and it might slide down, and we don't want those issues. We don't want those problems. That's not cute. That's not fly. That is not hot, Craftiana. Okay, so I'm just making sure everything's in place, making sure that's set and sturdy. I'm doing another row of this little trim on this. Reminder, this is that SS16 trim. Check my Amazon storefront. You can get it there. Make sure you're clicking on SS16, because I think I have SS2 or SS4 link. There's multiple sizes, so SS2 is way, way small. I mean, you could do SS2. It's just going to take a lot of rows, and it's tiny, tiny, tiny. So go SS16 to give you a bolder look. I mean, sometimes I do use the smaller sizes. Just depends on what the look I feel like going for that day, and how much work, extra work I feel like doing that day. Okay, Craftiana, because this is all work. So I'm going to let that dry, and then we're going to go into our bigger pieces. Yay, 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 yay. I mean, I could have sped this up a little more, but dang. Because I'm just talking. I could give y'all a little story time about a little rendezvous, but I'm not doing all that today, okay? Because what? So, we let that all dry. Now, I'm taking these big old centerpieces that I got, and I'm just trying to find the position that I want. Excuse me. Yeah, I'm putting the glue on the back of this piece or whatever. And I'm making sure I cover all the spots that are going to be touching the bottle. This is a heavy piece, so you want to make sure you have enough glue and enough anchor points, because not everything is going to be laid to this bottle, because it's such a big piece and it doesn't lay flat and flush on this bottle. So I'm making sure I put glue on every single little piece that I know will be touching this bottle for effect, okay? Do not skimp out on the glue. Make sure you got enough. I mean, don't put too much where it's gushing out and flooding out from the sides, because we don't want extra glue all over. So I'm being as careful as possible, and I'm setting this on here. This is going to take a while to dry. This will definitely move a lot, okay? So you want to make sure your bottle is laying flat or laying in a place where when you set this centerpiece on and release it, it won't move before that glue dries, because it will slide off and it will rip your paint off, and you'll have unnecessary glue. So you want to hold this down for a while, or if you don't want to hold it down for that long, find something to set on top of there, something that's strong enough to keep that in place and keep it from moving, because it's going to take a while for it to dry on there, especially for the amount of glue that we use, Craftiana. Excuse me, am I catching a cold? Why every time I go to record a voiceover, my allergies want to just act all crazy and stuff? Like, this is, ugh. So as you can see, I put my little alcohol bottle on here, and I'm just letting that hold that in place. Now I'm going in with my next little piece. I got all these little pieces and stuff from Planet Rhinestone down here in Los Angeles. They do have a website. I believe it's Planet Rhinestone. Check out their Instagram, and it should take you to the website. They do ship all my little centerpieces, or whatever these little pieces, they came from Planet Rhinestone. So check them out. I'm doing the same thing for my smaller one. I'm just putting the glue, letting it sit there, and letting that dry. Make sure you let this fully dry before you touch it and move it. We want that full cure, because this is a heavy piece, and if you move it too soon, it will fall off. If you touch it too soon, it will fall off. So I did 3 little trinkets. I did small, medium, and large. I did the legs, hips, and body. You see, I'm putting the glue on this, making sure it's all over everything that's going to be touching this bottle. Okay. And we sit there and let it dry. And here's the finished product again. So be sure to like, comment, and subscribe. Follow me on all my social medias at Brand So Crafty. That is TikTok, Facebook, Instagram, and all my channels. And I'm making sure that is in place. Be sure to check out the description box and my Amazon storefront to find some of these products. Get into a craftiana. Thank you for watching this video. Thank you for supporting me. I appreciate it. And I'll be back next Tuesday with another tutorial. Get into it, honey, because this came out fab. She loved it.